struggle with finding their purpose. I propose they are already doing it, their purpose. They just might not know they're doing it. For example, when I was a child, I had this overwhelming desire to right all the wrongs that were happening around me. Yes, a child has the ability to know right from wrong instinctively. And a child is already finding ways to achieve his purpose. He's finding more effective ways each day. One of the best teachers I had was a 10-year-old thug named Scotty. He was a terrorist in my school. Seemed like every time he was on the playground, he did something nasty to earn him a permanent spot in the principal's office. We had a 100-year-old brownstone grammar school, and they would lock this kid up in the second floor office during recess. Scotty would eventually climb down the old gutter system and run through the vacant halls during class and stare in at us menacingly through the classroom's glass pane window. Remember those windows with the wire embedded in them? I remember his face staring at me with that, "I'm going to kill you after class" look. He was a master at creating fear and controlling everyone. I hated it, and I could not live like that. I loathed bullies who attempted to strike fear in the hearts and minds of the rest of us. I had no patience for them, and as I said, I knew that I could not ever live with inside that fear. Something was eventually going to happen between the two of us. Every kid in that school feared being alone in the hall, alone on the playground. No one wanted to go to the restroom during classes, for Scotty would pop up out of the shadows. He would shoot paper clips at our heads. He'd steal our lunch money or push us down the stairs. You know him. He was the first kid you met that smoked cigarettes. I couldn't stand people who thought they have some God-given right to control and manipulate the innocent. And I was building a resentment to those who would always lay down and take it. I tried chasing him down after being hit in the head with a paperclip one too many times. But he was like a monkey and he knew how to get away fast. I noticed no one, not even the teachers, would stand up to him. I knew it was just a matter of time before I was to be alone with him. And he had a special place in his ruined heart for me. The boys' room in that old school was in the basement. No one was ever down there except for all the ghosts. And when they installed the urinals, they had to build a false cinder block wall to hide all the plumbing. I didn't know that was Scotty's favorite hiding place. Looking back, I could always smell the cigarette smoke. Sure enough, I was alone down there one day, and he jumped out like a demon with a pitchfork and blazing eyes, ready to kill. Well, the built-up fear and anger that was inside me said I wouldn't be held hostage to this person. I knew that I would rather die than live my life that way. Poor Scotty didn't know what hit him. I don't remember what he wanted exactly. I just knew he wanted something. He probably wanted me to pay his tax for letting me live, my milk money. He needed to buy those cigarettes, you know. I just remember how weak he actually was. When I grabbed hold of that arm that was extended to me, it was easy to manipulate him around, anywhere I wanted, like a rag doll. So I gave him a taste of his own medicine. I pulled him into the bathroom stall, and I struck the fear of God in him. And I showed him his future inside that reflective pool within the toilet bowl. I hope he saw the terror on his own face. He cried for mercy real quick, and always the traitor, I struck up a deal. I would spare his life for my freedom. He seemed to agree rather quickly, and I never saw that poor kid again. I heard he was eventually moved to a special school for boys like that. They probably ushered him into a military career where they could harness that destructive spirit for better use. Wonder where he is now. I'll go check Facebook, I guess. I'm sure that a bully wasn't what his parents had in mind to create. A bully is the unintended consequence of abuse. I would suggest there was excessive use of force on him, or just neglect, which is also the abuse of force. Neglect forces the kid to make decisions he should not have to make at his age. This kind of force used on human beings effectively kills that child's creative spirit. It creates a spirit of self-destruction instead, that can only be used to destroy himself and others along the way. This was his purpose, self-destruction. As I said at the beginning, if you don't know your purpose, you might be living it, and it might be a form of self-destruction. You don't know it because you don't want to. Being a bully, manipulating people, or using government or religion to do your bidding would be a clue. This is also the tragedy of an abusive government. A government that abuses its monopoly on the use of force. A moral government only uses force to protect its citizens from each other, outside threats, and the government itself. The unintended consequences of abusive government force like what that bully's parents probably used, is the destruction of man's most valuable tool for his own survival, his creative mind. The creative power to build, to solve problems, to foster within the desire to have skills, find the right vehicle for achieving one's purposes. We are left with only one driving purpose: to survive. Take away the ability to think creatively, and all we can do is hold each other at bay like a Western movie standoff. My favorite was the one in Tarantino's film Reservoir Dogs. Remember that Mexican standoff? We are like that. Each left alone, pointing a loaded weapon at each other's temple, just nervously hoping no one fires the first shot. We become all hostages to each other's fears. I think we should be linked by our strengths, our virtues, rather than held hostage by our fears and weaknesses. Don't you?